Now, climate change is having more and more of an impact in people's daily lives, including here in Germany, where at least 5 people have died in the south of the country during days of heavy rain and floods. Among them was a firefighter killed during a rescue operation. In the Bavarian city of Regensburg, the water level in the Danube River is still at 6 metres despite the normal level, double the normal level, Parts of the River Rhine, a major shipping route, remain closed to cargo ships. While the situation does now appear to be easing, with water levels slowly receding in some areas, several people are still missing and feared dead. But police say they rescued a woman who had spent 52 hours in a tree to escape the flooding. She's currently recovering in hospital. For more on that, I'm joined by our reporter Matthew Moore, who's standing by in the city of Regensburg. Matthew, tell us, how is the situation there?
The situation here in Regensburg remains critical this morning, and that's because the water level is twice what it normally is, and that's placing a huge burden on the artificial dikes that they've built up and down the riverbank and also on the subsoil. And a city spokesman said that the part of the riverbank that you can see behind me is the weakest point, and that's because it's on an island in the river, and basically the water is trying to kind of get into the undersoil there, and it's threatening to come up through the water table, and ultimately technical teams have been working 24/7 to try to stabilise the defences that you can see there behind me. And this morning, engineers were airlifted by helicopter onto the ship to try to secure those vessels, to get them tighter to the riverbank, to kind of try to steer the water away from the riverbank. So the situation here is incredibly tense. I just spoke to one of the residents of the homes behind me, and he just said, you know, there's nothing he could do. He can barely sleep at night. He's just wrought with nerves and stress. And so you can see that people are just really worried that this is that they're not going to be able to hold back the enormous amounts of water that are flowing down the Danube.
Just a dreadful situation for lots of people. Matthew, the heavy rain that caused the floods has stopped. Does that mean the worst is over in southern Germany?
Well, the rains have stopped, that's true, and the water level is slightly coming down, but it's still pretty steady, especially here where I am in Regensburg. But downriver in Passau, it was the situation there that the authorities declared a disaster. The water level has reached its peak there, but authorities basically warned that although it's coming down, it could well come up again. And they say that until basically the water level reaches normal levels, that ultimately these dams that they've built up and down the Danube, that any one of those could burst at any point and lead to catastrophic flooding. So while the weather has improved, as you can see, the threat of flooding is still there at the moment.
Matthew, there's, of course, whenever things like this happen, claims that the governments responsible or involved could have done more. How have the governments in southern Germany responded to claims like this?
Yeah, there's always, in times of a crisis like this, there's a renewed focus on whether more could have been done and whether more should be done in the future. And the fact of the matter is, it's hugely contentious. Everyone agrees that they should have more flooding defences in times of crisis, but when push comes to shove and further down the line, when industry starts suggesting dikes here and water basins there, that's where it becomes problematic, because you have objections from local residents, etc. Here in Regensburg, the residents rejected a polder that could have been built here to try to steer some of the excess water away, and that was rejected. So it just shows you, and in Passau actually there was a huge debate because fire authorities there saying that they need to build a flood wall around the old town, and people say, although they agree that they need it, they say it would blemish the picturesque aspect of the city. So you see this kind of this real tension between everyone agreeing that something should be done, but not necessarily agreeing on the best way to do it.
That's our correspondent Matthew Moore, standing by in the Bavarian city of Regensburg, talking about the flooding there. Matthew, thanks so much.